Alright, hey guys, so with the help of Oase today, we're going to be going ahead and replacing this Aqueon filter that I have on this tank, as well as that heater that's dangling in there. And we're going to go ahead and get some new equipment running on this tank. This is my 55-gallon kind of mixed, colorful community tank. I do have some planted aquariums and stuff like that, but this aquascape is more of just fake plants, fake gravel, fake background, just kind of really colorful and bright, stuff like that. And now because there's no live plants to aid in keeping the water clean, this tank solely relies on bacteria and filtration to keep the tank clean, and so that's why we're going to be upgrading it today. Alright, so the one I'm going to be unboxing today is the Biomaster Thermo 350. Now the Biomaster is their top of the line canister filter, and then the 350 is the middle tier between the Biomaster series, so there's one size smaller than this and then one size bigger than this. So this canister filter has a lot of special things that I've never seen before on a canister filter. It has an amazing warranty, which is basically 4 years. This model specifically is rated up to 90 gallons and does 300 gallons per hour. It is 4-stage filtration with a biological, mechanical filtration, chemical filtration, and a pre-filter. The pre-filter is something that's a little bit different, and then it talks a little bit about some of their other stuff, but there's two main features on this canister filter that I don't think I've seen on any other canister filter before. Here's how the filter is set up. As you can see, we have our basic stack of foam right here, as well as some biomedia. But this section right here is where things are a little different, and we'll talk about that in a second. Right here is the ratings plate that kind of tells you everything about all the different filters, the dimensions, the wattage use, as well as the gallons per hour between the 250, the 350, and the 600. The 600 being the biggest filter, and the 250 being the smallest. I went ahead and got the one that's in the middle. But anyway, let's go ahead and unbox this. So first off, here's the filter itself. Looks like a normal canister filter. We have our inlet and outlet right here. Here is something very special. This is actually a pre-filter, which is basically a large sponge filter, kind of like you would put a sponge on the intake of the canister, except it's built in. We have this nice little carry handle right here for, carrying the filter around. And then right here, we have something that's also extremely special about this canister filter. As you can see, there are 2 power cords. Now this is special because this canister filter actually has a heater built right into it. So right here is the heater, right? And with the heater being built inside the canister filter, you don't have to worry about it cluttering up your display tank. It's just right there in the filter, and you can make any adjustments you need to through the little dial right there. So we'll go ahead and unlock this right here. This will go ahead and stop the flow, and then we'll go ahead and push this valve right here, and that will allow us to go ahead and just pull this out. So right here is our pre-filter. All you have to do is press these 2 tabs, and here is your pre-filter sponge. What this means is that instead of taking your whole filter apart to clean it, you only have to clean this maybe every month or so, depending on how stocked your aquarium is. And then you can go ahead and do a main filter cleaning a little less frequent because, all these little sponges right here kind of polish your water, get all the big debris out before it even goes into the main filter itself. And then this just slides back down. There was a few things I was worried about. One of them being when you go to remove this, it's going to drip water all over your carpet as you take this to go wash it off. There's actually a flap down here that stops water from leaking out. So Oase really did think of almost everything here. So this just goes ahead and locks right back in. Then we can go ahead and close both of these tabs. To gain access to the inside of the filter, you just have to open this handle up and then pop these tabs. I'll go ahead and show you that later when we set the media up. Next up right here is the little accessory box. This will have the hoses and stuff. Obviously, first thing, like I said, are our hoses right here. This is just one long hose you can go ahead and cut into the correct size. Next we have these pieces right here. Now I believe these are used in case you want to run the heater independently. This will go ahead and plug the hole on the canister filter, and I believe the heater will just snap into this and you can suction cup that to your glass. Here we have our intake pipe and then our little spray bar. There's another spray bar right here. We have what looks to be little rubber feet that balance the canister filter. Now this has all our little hose adapters and stuff like that. We have another little piece of hose, and then just the rest of the owner's manuals down there. So now that you went ahead and saw me open up the filter, I'm gonna go ahead and start installing it and just getting this filter out of the way. But first I'm gonna go ahead and clean out the stand. So I went ahead and cleaned all this out. I'm gonna go ahead and place the canister filter right there. But first I'm gonna go ahead and just vacuum out all this gravel. Now next I'm gonna go ahead and set up the actual filter itself. So I'm gonna leave the pre-filter how it is. I set the heater to 76 degrees by just turning the little blue knob. And now I'm actually gonna open it up and get the media set up. To open it, you just pull up on this handle like so, unlatch these 4 latches like that, and this just pulls off. Also, you can go ahead and detach these hose clamps as well as detach this right here by just pulling up. Now, one of the main concerns I have for this filter is this sort of heater sticking out. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is that maybe when you're cleaning this might break. So that's just something to be aware of. Keep in mind, this heater is here. Don't step on it or anything. Now, the heater is removable right here. You can just pull it out simply. But I fear that removing it too many times may cause that seal to leak. As with any canister filter, the seal slowly will go bad over time. Now, for the main seal, this canister has a pretty nice and beefy seal. It should last a long time. It looks really thick compared to some other thinner seals I've seen. And then the impeller is seated right there. As for media, I really like how this canister filter is set up. It's basically all sponge. We have our finest sponge right here, which is just a little polishing sponge, kind of like the pre-filter sponge. Then we have some coarser sponges. Now, something I did notice about these sponges that the orange one doesn't have is that for some reason there's this little piece right here. I'm not quite sure what the point of this is, but that's right there. And on the orange one, it's not there. So just keep this in mind if you're squeezing out these sponges. Be careful to not rip that off because that is super thin and could be ripped off pretty easily. And then down here after this, we just have a whole bunch more foam. Now, foam is one of my favorite filtration methods because it's a great biological filtration as well as a great mechanical filtration. But they also include these little like bio pellets almost. I believe it's called like helix media or something. Anyway, this is just plastic biological media, and it should grow bacteria on it great. I mean, there's tons of little pores, tons of little surfaces right there, as you can see. So this right here will go on the bottom, and this is what will grow the majority of the bacteria, but the sponges also will do the same job of having beneficial bacteria. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this basket down here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this foam. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because the filter that I have on the tank right now, the hang-on filter, has a whole bunch of filter media in it, and I'm gonna go ahead and place that in here in order to keep the cycle on this aquarium. And then in a few months or so, I'll go ahead and replace it with the sponge. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and put some of my used filter media in this. So this right here is just old filter floss and little pot scrubber from my old filter. Like I said, I'll go ahead and remove this media and replace that blue sponge in a few months or so, just when the filter is seeded with good bacteria. Now that that's in there, I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the other little baskets of foam right on top. And then last but not least, this little orange polishing pad. So that's pretty much everything set up. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, leave the pre-filter how it is. The pre-filter is perfect. And then we'll go ahead and just place the top of the filter right back on and just go ahead and latch these up like so. Then we can go ahead and place the pre-filter back in and lock these back up. Another thing I like is that these are adjustable, meaning you can kind of like angle them in any direction what best fits your tank. And then once again, this is removable. If you want to clean the whole filter, you can just take this off. I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of the way, and we'll go ahead and set up these fittings. So this is the intake right here, super simple to set up. You just snap this black piece onto the strainer, snap the long clear piece into this one of these little hose things. Another thing I like about these Oase canisters is if you can see right here, you can actually directly adjust the intake and the outtake of the filter. So if the flow is too strong, all you have to do is go ahead and adjust it right here. Then you can go ahead and thread this blue part on first and then slide your hose on. Then you can go ahead and twist this down to tighten it. Setup is basically the same for the outflow pipe. I opted for this little spray jet, which just simply attaches like so, rather than doing the spray bar. And then the same thing, this just threads down to tighten your hose. Right here, simply just fit into place. I might go ahead and put another suction cup that suctions this hose right here to this back, just because there is a little bit of play with only one suction cup. As you can see, it moves around quite a bit. Same with this, as you can see, it goes ahead and wants to slide that way when I let go. So I might go ahead and add those additional suction cups, but they just go ahead and fit in just like that. All right, so I went ahead and put these guys in. Like I said, I went ahead and adjusted them a little bit, and then I went ahead and basically plumbed this the exact same way as I plumbed the hose to the intake and outtake. Same little thing with the screw right here. And then I just placed the canister. So this right here is an easy prime button. Sorry about the lighting, but basically we're just supposed to push this down like so. And that should automatically prime the canister. Up now, I'm gonna plug in the filter and the heater. I went ahead and made sure to prime it first using that button. It took a long time, so Oase, if you're watching, maybe somewhere in the future, maybe future updates on the canister, that's something I would recommend, because the priming, I don't know if it was just mine that just primed really slow, but it took a lot of pumping to get the siphon to actually start. Another thing I want to mention is on the outflow tube, because I have that little plastic diverter, the little like plastic fan basically. the way it attaches to the nozzle is super weird. It like clips inside of it rather than on the outside, and it seems to be coming off a lot just moving it around. I don't know if that's going to be an issue while the filter is just running. I don't know if it's going to shoot off or not, but that was just something I thought I should go ahead and mention real quick. Anyway, let me go ahead and plug it in. And as you can see, there it is running. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a few minutes to kind of purge all the air out of its system and just clear the tank up a little bit, and then we'll come back and talk about some stuff. Okay, so it has been about 2 days since we set up this filter, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my little first initial opinions and a quick brief review on the filter. So it cleared up the tank pretty fast, and so far I'm really enjoying it. My favorite thing about this filter so far is how quiet it is. It's basically dead silent. I pretty much can't even hear it at all. When you walk in the room, the only filter you hear is the filter on my cichlid tank, which is right across the room from this one, and that's a fluval canister filter, and it is quite a bit louder than this Oase canister filter. So that's one thing Oase did amazing. It's basically dead silent when it's placed inside of a stand. I could not be happier with the noise level. As for the internal heater built into the filter, it has kept the tank at a perfect 76 the entire time, never had any issues with that, so that's another thing I really like. We went from that dangling old heater laying in the tank, making the tank look like a mess, to this nice clean setup with only an intake tube showing up in the tank pretty much. Okay, so I know we talked about the pre-filter earlier, but I felt that it was valuable to actually show you how that whole process goes and how cleaning it out works. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and unplug the canister filter, go ahead and turn it off, stop the water flow. Then I'm going to go ahead and unlock this, which will also stop the flow to the tank. Just turn that all the way to unlock, and then if you wanted to, you could remove this. Anyway, then we're going to go ahead and turn this one right here to unlocked as well. A little bit of water did splash up, something to mention. And then this simply just untwists and is able to be pulled right out. I'm going to pull it out slow because I don't want water going anywhere. And as you can see, here's a little problem that I've kind of noticed is that some stands are a little bit too low for this to kind of work. So you have to lean the whole canister filter forward in order to pull this all the way out. So here it is right here, dripping a little bit. There is that little flap on the bottom, but clearly it's not working very well because water is still dripping everywhere. Anyway, now we would go ahead and click these two tabs and pull this off like so. So there's all the foam right there. There's all the debris it's caught over the course of like a week or so. So pretty good. And then this is just full of dirty water. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and put this back in here slowly so it doesn't spill water everywhere. Like so. Now we can just go ahead and put this in here. It definitely is not a mess-free process. As you can see, water still did drip a little bit. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead and slowly lower this down because if you lower it down too fast, water will come out. So it's going to... So once it's basically all the way in, you can just go ahead and... Well, that happens. And then we'll just go ahead and push it back all the way down into place. And then I'll go ahead and lock it. So it's definitely not a mess-free solution. As you can see, there's still water everywhere basically. So don't expect this to be like no drips. So I just thought this was important to include. You guys probably want to see how it actually works when you clean it. And that's kind of what happens. Not really that big of a mess. I mean, put a towel down and you'll have no problems. But I just wanted to go ahead and show you kind of what would happen when you go ahead and clean that. Then you can go ahead and plug it back in and you're good to go. Another thing is that the filter seems to have great flow. As you can see here, it's creating the surface ripple all the way across the tank. So the flow rate on this is absolutely amazing. It really pumps out a lot of gallons per hour. I believe 300 on this model. So it really creates a nice flow pattern in the tank. And then again, if you wanted to, you could always turn that down using these little adjustable valves right here. Another thing I really like about this filter is how modular it is. So obviously you can put whatever you want inside the filter baskets, but also the outtake is pretty modular. So you can either do that little direct flow diverter like I have, or you can put it in a spray bar. Also, if you had probably a turtle tank where you had like the water level maybe halfway, I don't see why you couldn't just take another one of these clear plastic pieces, because you get 3 of these. 2 of them have holes in them, 1 doesn't for the intake. You could just take one of them that are from the spray bar, maybe cover up the holes, and you basically would create another one of these. It'd be right here. That would lead down from the outtake, and then you could put a little flow diverter on the end. So that's a way you could extend the outtake down deeper in the tank if you wanted to for like a turtle tank. Obviously, I don't have that issue right now because this is just a normal tank. Another thing I really like is that you're able to change the temperature of the aquarium just from right here. You don't have to like reach inside the filter or take the filter apart or anything. So that's really cool. So this right here is the easy priming button, and I have to say it was not that easy. It did take a long time for me to get the siphon going. I don't know if that was just the way my tank is set up, but anyway, that was something I thought I should point out as well. And then last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, the tank is crystal clear. That is probably my favorite thing about the filter, is that it does its job. So that is pretty much it for the Oase filter. There's only really 2 things that I didn't love about the filter, but those are very, very minor things compared to all the pros this filter has. This filter really brings something new to the table that I've never really seen before, and that's one of the reasons I really recommend this filter. I've tried it personally myself, and I wouldn't recommend it to you guys unless it worked right for me. And so far, it's been amazing. I really think a built-in sponge filter built into the canister filter itself that you can change in a matter of minutes is something new and innovative that I've never seen before. Same thing with the heater being inside the canister filter. Never seen that before either. This filter is a little bit on the expensive side just because it is a premium product. It is made in Germany, I believe, and it's very high quality, and that is why it is in this premium price range. Obviously, if you wanted to save a little cash on the filter, you could go ahead and buy the option that doesn't include a heater, because the one that includes the heater is a little bit more expensive. If you were running a goldfish tank or something where you didn't need a heater, that would be an option you could use. Anyway, I'll go ahead and leave links to Oase's website down below if you want to check out any of their products. They do have a few other filters, but this is like their flagship canister. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.